It's closed for renovations, apparently. He can't help me at the moment. My hands aren't dirty. If it doesn't stop raining, this barrel is going to overflow. The handcar won't go anywhere as long as it's tied up. The station guard won't be happy if I remove his firefighting equipment.
The Eye of the Dragon. This artifact is supposed to be the secret to finding the second portal key that opens the gates to Shambhala. Viewing the Piri Reis map through the eye is said to reveal the key's hidden location. Of course, to do that, I need to find the map.
It won't open as long as it's chained up. The station's being renovated, so everyone has to wait on the platform in the cold. Typical. It's screwed securely to the carriage. An old carriage, sitting on the siding. The handcar won't go anywhere as long as it's tied up. It's tied tight. Could come in handy. Some facts on local history. According to this, the castle was built in the 11th century. The text refers to many renovations and extensions, as well as changes in ownership. Hang on a minute. This could be interesting. The mountain under the castle has an old tunnel system. Ore was mined there from the 18th century onwards. The lords of the castle used the passages of the mines as a hiding place or escape route during times of siege. However, the tunnels were closed down just before the war. That means there was once a connection between the mine and the castle. Maybe it still exists. I need a coin. It's a memorial cross. Seen better days. There are some candles burning on the pedestal in front of it. The sign's covered with a thick layer of moss. I'll try and scratch the moss away. There it is. Two tools crossed, a hammer and a pickaxe. This is either a mine or the Center for Dyslexic Soviets. I'm sure nobody will mind if I take a candle with me. That'll take me to Buren. I need to get to the castle. The station's being renovated, so everyone has to wait on the platform in the cold. Typical. The cable's pretty rough. It could probably be used as a saw. but it's not enough to sever an iron chain. I should be able to burn through the rope. Then the handcar will roll past the platform. That should keep the guard occupied for a moment or two. Then I'll have some peace and quiet to find the entrance to the mine. Let's go.
What the? Stop! Halt!
As long as no one complains, do what you like. It's closed for renovations, apparently. I need a coin. I'll sever the chain. Then I can open the door. It's pitch black in there. What if the candle goes out? It's screwed securely to the carriage. It's good to get rid of some pent-up aggression every now and again.
I'll put the candle in the lantern.
Christ, it's a bloody maze down here. I've got no choice. It's my only way into the castle. Besides, in my experience, you find the most useful things in the queerest places. These steps are pretty steep. This must be the way up into the castle. That was easier than I expected. I hope I haven't overlooked anything useful in these passages. I think I've ended up in the castle. I never thought this would actually work. Lucky there's no one here. This is some kind of workshop. I suppose it'd be too much to ask to climb out of the mines and run straight into the map. Well, exploring never gets boring. That is what they say, isn't it? This fire would be comforting, if I wasn't deep behind enemy lines on a life or death mission. This fire would become... I always wanted one of these old-style nutcrackers. It's warm to the touch. A threaded hook that's been screwed into the wall. It won't pull out.
How are you coming along with the inventory?
Nearly finished, Herr Feldwebel. I still need to catalog the objects from Berlin.
Okay, but it is essential that we finish the inventory today. The remaining exhibits will be arriving from Berlin tomorrow.
Jawohl, Herr Feldwebel.
Did he say inventory? Maybe it says where the Piri-Reis map is stored. If only I could get a look over his shoulder. I'll take some with me as backup, in case I get caught. I can't lug an entire set of armor around with me for 3 reasons. First, it's dead heavy. Second, it'll make me look silly. And third, this is supposed to be a stealth mission. I'll just take the gauntlets, because they're cool. Nice view. I see trees. The telescope's pointing toward the forest, and I can't turn it. It seems to have rusted. The telescope's attached with a metal clamp. Maybe I can loosen it with the drill. Nazis. I hate these guys. It's a tower. That's better. Now I can make out the individual buildings. Some kind of marketplace. The village church. Looks like the local pub. Freshly tapped beer and a hot schnitzel. Quite literally, the only things in the entire world that I want right now. A tower. Nazis. I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. Well, it's not Argali, but it'll do. It's a long, thin crack in the wall. It's a long, thin crack in the wall. It's warm to the touch. I could probably use the pelt as a fire blanket, but I might need the fire later. I'll make a mental note to come back to it. I better not get any closer. I don't want to push my luck. Moving it would make way too much noise. I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. Believe it or not, I can't reach it from here. A chimney. Hopefully, I haven't missed anything useful in here. It's closed for renovations, apparently. I'll dip the pelt into the water. That should do it. My hands aren't dirty.
Not quite there. I need something to dissolve the grease.
I've already found another route to the castle.
It's a traditional nutcracker. The lever on the little man's back opens his mouth. Insert nut and close mouth.
Poor guy. Let's hope I don't end up like him. This place is a maze. Poor guy.
The wet pelt. It's obviously been exposed to the elements, but it still seems to work. Leather-lined gauntlets. Soft on the inside, but with a tough exterior. Just like Fenton Paddock.
Hopefully, I haven't missed anything useful in here. I could probably use the pelt as a fire blanket, but I might need the fire later. I'll make a mental note to come back to it. I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. It's a long, thin crack in the wall. Mirrors like that reflect light onto the desk they're positioned over. Not much use to him after sunset, but it might let me get a look at those documents if I wasn't so far away. It's working. I can make out the documents large as life, but damn it. They're back to front because of the mirror. I can't read it like this.
Not quite there. I need something to dissolve the grease. Not quite there. I need something to dissolve the grease.
A tower. It's a tower. see a few houses down there. That must be the village of Buren the guy at the station mentioned. It's too dark and I'm too far away to make out any details. He's studying a map. As long as he's occupied, I don't really care what he's doing. The wet pelt.
The Eye of the Dragon. This artifact is supposed to be the secret to finding the second portal key that opens the gates to Shambhala. Viewing the Piri-Reis map through the eye is said to reveal the key's hidden location. Of course, to do that, I need to find the map.
Moving it would make way too much noise. Put it on the table, but it's filthy. It's a long, thin crack in the wall.
A thin steel cable.
I could probably use the pelt as a fire blanket, but I might need the fire later. I'll make a mental note to come back to it.
Not quite there. I need something to dissolve the grease.
Poor guy. Let's hope I don't end up like him. This place is a maze.
I hope you like your new home, guys.
Sorry guys, but sacrifice is just an intrinsic part of war. That was quick. They've melted down like butter.
I'll pour some of the molten tin into the hollow in the candlestick. Don't ask me how I did it, but I've bored out the solidified tin. It's now a lovely round shape. Almost like a coin, you might say.
I think I know how to get to the station, and I've seen all there is to see in the mine. I'll take the quick route. What do you know? It actually worked. I could make a mint. Get it? Because I'm making money to use in a sweet. You know what? Never mind. 4 fizzy sweets fell out the bottom. The sweets will probably dissolve in the rainwater. I'll need more than water to get the grease off. I'll pour some water into the pot.
The sweets are dissolving in the water. Pouring lemon water on the mirror won't be enough to dissolve the grease. Not quite there. I've soaked the pelt with lemon water. There, spick and span.
I think I know the route pretty well now. Nothing interesting left in the mine. I'll head straight up to the castle. I'll put the mirror down gently. It's working. I can make out the documents large as life, but... damn it. They're back to front because of the mirror. I can't read it like this. I'll, put it back in my pocket? It's working. I can make out the documents large as life, but... damn it. They're back to front because of the mirror. I can't read it like this. I'll put the mirror down gently. I can't see anything in the mirror apart from myself. Fascinating though I am, preening myself isn't going to save the world. Maybe it's just too low. I can't see anything in the mirror. Maybe it's just too... I'll, put it back in my pocket? I'll put the mirror down gently. I can't see anything in the mirror apart... Maybe it's just... He's working on an inventory. If only I could get a look at it. It might be a nice shortcut to the Piri Reis map. Could save me trawling this castle for the next 3 hours. Probably won't. It's working. I can make out the documents large as life, but... damn it. They're back to front because of the mirror. I can't read it like this. Moving it would make way too much noise. A small wooden table. I'll, put it back in my pocket?
Soaked in lemon water.
A threaded hook that's been screwed into the wall. It won't pull out. Of course. I can just use the nutcracker to unscrew the hook. Why didn't I think of that before? I'll jam the hook into his mouth and then unscrew it like a pair of pliers. I'll screw the hook into the crack. Okay, I'll hang the mirror up here. Praise be the laws of optics. I can make out every word. If the soldier would just move his hand a little to the side, then... perfect. There it is. Exhibit 104C. The Piri-Reis map, stored in the crypt in the North Tower. The problem with answers is they always give rise to new questions. Where the devil is the North Tower? I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. Moving it would make way too much noise. I could probably use the pelt as a fire blanket, but I might need the fire later. I'll make a mental note to come back to it. A fire's burning. The station's being renovated, so everyone has to wait on the platform in the cold. Typical. I'll pour some water into the pot. I'd need a lot more water. This isn't going to work.
There's water in the pot. A thin steel cable.
I managed to read the documents. The Piri-Reis map is in the crypt in the North Tower. That's where I need to be. I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. Moving it would make way too much noise. I managed to read the documents. The Piri Reis map is in the crypt in the North Tower. That's where I need to be. Soaked in... It's closed for renovations, apparently.
A burn?
I'll have to go back through the abandoned mine to get up there. It's closed for renovations, apparently. It's closed. The station's being renovated. Wavel's... I've already found another route to the castle. The station's being renovated, so everyone has to wait on a platform in the cold. Typical.
Fenton now knows that the Piri Reis map is being kept in the crypt in the North Tower. However, this raises two questions. Where is the North Tower? And how is he supposed to access the crypt?
A fire's burning. Very cozy. I could probably, but I might need the fire later. I'll make a mental note to come back to it.
There's water in the...
Nothing remarkable about the chimney itself. Far more interesting are the rungs built into the brickwork here. It's warm to the touch. A chimney. Believe it or not, I can't reach it from here. Believe it or not, a thin steel. I can hear voices in that direction. Better steer clear. It's closed for renovations, apparently. I've been through it already. My hands aren't dirty. It's closed for renovations, apparently. I found my way into the castle, but I still need the Piri Reis map. Two tools. An old carriage sitting on the siding. Two tools crossed, a hammer and a pickaxe. This is either a mine or the Center for Dyslexic Soviets. It's closed for renovations, apparently. A small wooden table.
It's obviously been exposed to the elements, but it still seems to work.
I'll take it down again. I'll unscrew the hook. The village church. Wait a moment. Churches always point west, don't they? With the altar in the east. The main entrance is facing away from me. So, looking at the church, the two small towers to my left and right must be on the east-west axis. So the north tower must be on the other side of the castle. But how am I supposed to get all the way over there? I'd need a lot more water. This isn't going to work. I think I can safely put the fire out now. I'll just throw the skin over. Great, the fire's out, though it now smells like a wild pig's marital sty in here. Now the fire's out, I can see the ladder rungs more clearly. They definitely lead up to the roof. The ladder rungs are still too hot to hold. The gloves should protect me from the heat, climbing up the chimney to steal people's treasured possessions. I'm like the anti-Santa, only trimmer. Luckily, I'm not afraid of heights. Or, as we've established, anything at all. Apart from our Garleys. And Kim, when she's in a huff. I'll try to get in through one of the windows. Okay, I've reached the North Tower, but I don't see any ancient research objects or artifacts. The inventory said the items are kept in the crypt. Thinking about it, this doesn't really look like a crypt to me. It must be one floor lower. I'll have to find a way down. This slab's separate from the rest of the floor. I can see the seam running along the edges. That said, I can't lift it with my bare hands. Let's see if the crank handle still works. It's damn heavy. I ought to use the crank if I want to get it back up. The North Tower Crypt. This is where all the Tula Society's research objects are supposed to be held. I've got to get down there. The North Tower Crypt. It's damn heavy. I ought to use the crank if I want to get it back up. The chandelier's now lying in the center of the symbol on the floor. This slab's separate from the rest of the floor. I can see the seam running along the edges. That said, I can't lift it with my bare hands. there's nowhere to screw it. Let's attack this thing. There, I've drilled a small hole. I've screwed the hook into the drill hole. It's lodged pretty tight. I don't think brute force will help me here. It's damn heavy. I ought to use the crank if I want to get it back up. It's damn heavy. Fenton, you old dog, you've done it again. The chandelier's attached to the hook, which is screwed into the slab in the floor. When I turn the crank, the whole thing comes away. Shame there's nobody here to congratulate me. It's locked. Ah, there's a cable here. Maybe I can climb down on it. Hopefully it'll take my weight. Looks like I'm in the right place, finally. Not that I'm complaining. The documents are under lock and key behind a thick sheet of glass. There's a sort of dossier on this podium. I'll just skim it quickly. It outlines the Tula Society's central objectives. According to this, the Society was founded in the early 1920s with the aim of restoring the knowledge of lost civilizations for its own use. The Tula Society's influence extends into the highest echelons of the German Reich. This gives them complete carte blanche on their activities. They can do whatever the hell they like. Seems they launched a project codenamed Vril under the direction of our old friend, Countess von Hagenhild. The focus of this project is the search for Shambhala. The Tula Society believes that a vast store of ancient knowledge is being hoarded there. The source of morphogenetic fields. Morphogenetic fields? Never heard of them. But then it does ring true with what Professor Hayes was talking about, a store of ancient knowledge. If I remember the professor's description correctly, the hunters and herders of Shambhala suddenly developed into a flourishing and highly advanced society. Hayes reckons some sort of mysterious energy was responsible for the tribe's development. Is that what they mean by morphogenetic fields? The documents are under lock and key behind a thick sheet of glass. It could take days to search all these boxes for the Piri-Reis map. It could take days to... It's locked, as you'd expect. I'm not leaving without the map. Must be more of the Tula Society's artifacts and research objects. It could take days to search all. The documents are under lock and key behind a thick sheet of glass. These documents contain the research results of a scientist by the name of Aldrich von Hagenhild. Must be some relative of the Countess. Von Hagenhild spent his time searching for the world soul. Christ, can't these people just use sensible names? The basis for von Hagenhild's research was the concept that for an organism to develop as it should, there must be some immaterial power steering it in the right direction. Basically, an invisible blueprint determining form and growth. So, why does a rabbit develop the way it does? And why does a pine tree become a pine tree? Who's the architect? What tells them to grow bark? Or fancy lady rabbits? Looks like these questions led von Hagenhild to believe there was some invisible, imperceptible field that controls the development of an organism. He called it morphogenetics. Von Hagenhild explains the holistic aspect of self-organizing systems with his theory of morphogenetic fields. Basically, the field stores forms or behavioral patterns that every member of a species draws from and adds to. This was his Western take on something the East had known for some time. In Far Eastern philosophy, people refer to his morphogenetic fields as the divine essence of nature, or as the soul. He thought he'd identified the soul. He didn't think the soul was a spiritual thing. He thought it was a fundamental principle of nature that had been warped and confused by religions the world over. He even thought he had proof. He refers to certain experiments he carried out. Ugh. This is a lot of information to take in. Von Hagenhild really believed that in these morphogenetic fields, he'd identified the soul, the central power behind all living things. These documents refer to several experiments which are supposed to prove the existence of morphogenetic fields. Von Hagenhild wanted to prove that every species obtains its entire being, its form, its instincts, from these fields, like some kind of collective memory. These inherited memories control not just the form, but also the behavior, the capabilities, and the knowledge of the relevant species. He called it a group soul. Experiment number 1, the rat experiment. The experiment investigated the capability of rats to find their way through a maze. At the beginning of the experiment, the rats needed 165 attempts before they could get through the maze without a mistake. But a few rat generations later, the number of attempts had dropped to 20. Conclusion: the first batch of rats learned how to navigate the maze, and this instinct was somehow added to the rats' group soul. When later rats navigated the maze, they somehow had access to this ancestral memory, even if the rats weren't directly related. Experiment number 2. The ape experiment. 2 ape colonies of the same species were isolated and observed on 2 small islands in the Indian Ocean. Von Hagenhild's team taught the apes on one island a few new behavioral patterns. The other colony was left undisturbed and uninfluenced. So while the apes on the first island are learning how to open tins and the like, the others are eating bananas. Several months later, the apes on the undisturbed island began displaying these new skills, even though they'd never come into contact with the other colony. Von Hagenhild's conclusion: all members of a species are connected by morphogenetic fields. They share a subconscious collective memory. He thought this theory could explain a lot. Animals' sense for impending danger, telepathy, sixth sense in humans. Von Hagenhild also concludes that members of a group can learn something new at a far quicker pace when the vast majority of members of that same group have already acquired the knowledge. These fields are basically stores of information that are effective across space, and in rare cases even time. Von Hagenhild presumes this would go some way towards explaining premonitions. human beings sporadically accessing morphogenetic fields from varying points in the future. It all sounds very far-fetched, but then it does explain a lot. Supposing morphogenetic fields really exist, they'd be the answer to problems science has been trying to solve for centuries. And if all these fields add up, if there's some kind of central repository of all this information, Christ, it'd basically be the scientific definition of God. I'm beginning to understand why the Tula Society's quite so interested. And if there's even the slightest chance it's all true, why they need to be stopped. Is this the Piri-Reis map? It's hand-drawn, ancient. There are some notes next to it. Finally, von Hagenhild became convinced that there must be a type of definitive field from which all other fields are derived. All manifestations have an origin. He tried to back this up with historical evidence. A world soul, for instance, had been proposed by Plato over 2,000 years ago. But what really convinced him was the discovery of an old, mysterious map of the world, drawn by the Ottoman general Piri-Reis. I knew it! It's the map! Let's see. Further on in the text, von Hagenhild discovered that the general had drawn up the map in the 16th century, using sources which were thousands of years old. But how could they have known at that time what the world looked like? He posed the theory that a civilization had existed then, which possessed extraordinary knowledge and skill. He discovered a marking on the map, which was written in an unfamiliar language. Research in Far Eastern libraries revealed it was a long-forgotten Tibetan script. Once translated, it claimed the marking indicated the source of all knowledge, the center of the morphogenetic fields. It was a hidden valley in the Himalayas, Shambhala. Shortly before he died in 1934, von Hagenhild passed the responsibility of continuing the research onto his daughter. Professor Hayes was right. About everything. The Tula Society arrived at the exact same conclusion as he did. They were just one step ahead. Lucky I'm one step more. Richard used the first key to pass through the gate in that secret room in the monastery. I just need to find the second. The Nazis can't enter Shambhala without it, and as it happens, I have the eye, and I have the map. I just need to use them to find the location of the second key. My last hope of finding Richard is based on an ancient legend. Great. It's time to cross everything I've got. And I mean everything. There's a sort of dossier on this podium. I'll just skim it quickly. It outlines the Tula Society's central objectives. According to this, the Society was founded in the early 1920s with the aim of restoring the knowledge of lost civilizations for its own use. The Tula Society's influence extends into the highest echelons of the German Reich. This gives them complete carte blanche on their activities. They can do whatever the hell they like. Seems they launched a project codenamed Vril under the direction of our old friend, Countess von Hagenhild. The focus of this project is the search for Shambhala. The Tula Society believes that a vast store of ancient knowledge is being hoarded there. The source of morphogenetic fields. Morphogenetic fields? Never heard of them. But then it does ring true with what Professor Hayes was talking about, a store of ancient knowledge. If I remember the professor's description correctly, the hunters and herders of Shambhala suddenly developed into a flourishing and highly advanced society. Hayes reckons some sort of mysterious energy was responsible for the tribe's development. Is that what they mean by morphogenetic fields? It could take days to search all these boxes for the Piri-Reis map. It could take days to search all these boxes for the Piri-Reis map. I'm not leaving without the map. It could take days to... Not a good idea. I might trigger an alarm. It could take days to... Not a good idea. I might trigger an alarm. That's not the map. Fingers crossed. I've come all this way, but I'm still a little surprised it actually worked. The Piri Reis map really is the map of the Guardians of Shambhala. Or at least it was drawn to their specifications, so Professor Hayes was also right in thinking the priests of Shambhala took the second key artifact to India and hid it in a temple there. And now I know exactly where to look. On the Kathiawar Peninsula, just north of Bombay. Thinking about it, I actually know the commander of the British regiment in Rajkot. If the old drunkard hasn't been transferred for disciplinary reasons again, I'm sure he'll lend me a hand. Or at least a decent bottle. Then, I'll just have to find the temple and get hold of the key artifact. What could be simpler?
Looks like the road ends here. This village is supposed to be the last settlement. Other than that, there's nothing but thick jungle in every direction. The commander of the local troops led me this far, but now I need to quiz a local about the temple. I have no idea where it is. Hello? Hello? Jesus, where is everyone? Looks like this place was abandoned pretty recently. Hello? Is anybody there?
The Nazis can't have been here already. Can they? Damn it. I'll have to find the temple on my own.